think there's a sense of anxiety, there's a sense of uncertainty as to the outcome of the result. If Kamala Harris wins the presidency, there'll be a continuation of Biden approach, which is a very structural approach. Trump has a close relation with Prime Minister Modi, but at the same time, he also made a statement that India is a tariff king.
Important day for United States. It is going to have its next president soon. How is the current situation on mood on ground as Americans begin voting for their next president?
Well, I think there's a sense of anxiety, there's a sense of uncertainty as to the outcome of the result. We are feeling like young parents outside the delivery room. We don't know if it's going to be a boy or a girl, or is it Kamala Harris or Trump itself. But I think the impact of the election result is not just having an impact on the United States, it has a global impact. So we are all waiting. We do expect this to be a very close race. We do expect that it will go beyond Tuesday night, evening end result, because some of the states counting will slow down. So it'll take a couple of days for us to finally understand who is the winner of the current election.
Right. So you said that it is going to be a very close battle. It is a neck and neck battle between Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Republican nominee Donald Trump. So since many people, I guess last we checked, it was 75 million people have already casted their vote. Would that have an impact on the elections? And what about the swing states, sir? What is it saying?
So I think what we're seeing is a very interesting trend. One is over 50% of the voters have already cast their vote early voting. That means they are already convinced who their candidates are. So the last minute is going to impact the swing voters in the swing states itself. And what we are seeing is organization, either Democratic or Republican, who have a better ground structure to move in, bring in voters to the polling booth, will have an impact. And so what I see is basically more women turning up for voting. We're seeing more and more minority group turning up for voting. And some of the comments made by Trump Organization on Puerto Rican, especially in the state of Pennsylvania, where you have almost 500,000 Puerto Rican voters, that's going to probably have an impact on the end result, especially in the state of Pennsylvania.
Right. So are we looking at a scenario where a final outcome may not be known for several days if the results are as close as the polls suggest?
If the results are close, it'll take a few days to finalize because there'll be challenges, there could be lawsuits, and then certification state by state could get delayed itself. But if it's a landslide, we'll know the result by end of the night tonight itself. But all indications are it will take a few days for us to get the final result because the voting pattern being very, very close itself.
Right. So whoever wins the election, what would each candidate, according to you, bring on the table when it comes to building a strong and strengthening India-US relationship?
So I think when you look at if Kamala Harris wins the presidency, there'll be a continuation of Biden approach, which is a very structural approach, looking at India not from a prism of trade only, but looking at India from a much more broader partnership, from a geopolitical arena, from economics, from technology, from people to people. And also leveraging India's position vis-a-vis China, because there is a very common, at least platform in the US that China is a new adversary, and a US cannot on its own handle China. It needs partners. The Quad will play a very critical role when you look at India from that perspective. The approach, if Trump comes in, will be much more transactional. It could be also whimsical because a policy agenda will shift dramatically, especially on the economic front, on the trade front. You will see tariffs being put on Indian goods coming into the United States. You will see questioning of ISET, especially questioning as to why free technology is being transferred to India without getting much in return. So what we will see is a shift in approach itself. One will be structural, the other will be transactional.
So just last question: how do you read this statement by the Republican nominee Donald Trump just days before the U.S. elections, where he mentioned about his strengthening partnership with India? He also mentioned about the Prime Minister Modi, and he also mentioned about minorities in Bangladesh. So how do you read such statements just before the elections?
Well, you have to understand that when you're in a political campaign, you try to please as many people, as many areas itself. And so, yes, Trump has a close relationship with Prime Minister Modi, but at the same time, he also made a statement that India is a tariff king. So you have to basically take his words from the perspective that he's on a political campaign and he will make every effort to basically please the vote bank, be it the Hindu votes in the US or be India as a country itself. So I think overall, regardless of who comes in, India is going to be pivotal to US from a geopolitical perspective. It is going to be pivotal from an economic perspective. When you basically have a stress point going up with China, you will want to de-risk your supply chain, and India becomes critical from that perspective. As India's economy goes up from $4 to $5 trillion, the market opportunity for U.S. companies also become very, very critical. We saw a recent announcement by Apple that its domestic revenue has gone past $5 billion, which was almost nothing 5 years ago. So I think in every aspect, India becomes critical for the United States. And regardless of who comes in, Kamala Harris or Trump, India-US partnership will move in the upward trajectory. Yes, there'll be bumps on the tariff issues and other areas, but overall the partnership stays on.